One of the things we like to do when we head out west is what they call boondocking. And essentially what it is there's government land that you can stay on up to 14 days for free. But to do that, you have to be somewhat self-sufficient. You have to carry your own water, you have to create your own electricity. We originally thought that maybe we would do solar on the top of our trailer, but at this point we don't feel that the cost for us is worth it. And it may be something we do in the future, but for right now we decided to go a different route. And what that is what's called an inverter generator. This is a Honda EU2000i. And what I'm doing today is I'm going to convert it to run on propane. It's a gas generator, but I don't like the idea of having to carry around containers of gasoline inside the van. And we already have propane on the front of our rig, so it makes sense for us to run the generator off of propane. So what I did was I bought a conversion kit from a company called GenConneX. They make it specifically for this generator, and I'm going to go ahead and attempt to install it. So here we go. I have my instructions from GenConneX, an assortment of screwdrivers, a 10mm socket with a 3/8 ratchet, small adjustable wrench, and a pair of needle nose pliers, and hopefully that'll get me going. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off all this plastic, all the red you see, the black on the ends. It takes a little more time, but I like to put the screws back into places where they go if I can. That way when I go to put things back together, I know where all the screws are, and I know which screws go in what spot. There could be multiple types of screws. So that's just my way. There's a gray strip. To get that off, you just push it down. It's in kind of a slot. And then pop that off, and there's one of those on each side of the generator. It'll reveal two 10mm screws down inside these holes. There's the gray piece. Screws are fairly long. They go all the way through to the other side of the case. So it takes a little bit longer than you would think to get them off. I'm going to remove the gas cap. On the inside of the gas cap there is a holder so you don't lose your cap. I've already taken it off, but if you look, there's a little cotter pin. Just pop that cotter pin off and it'll disconnect. Be careful, there's a spring in there. This is spring loaded, and if you just pop off the cotter pin, it'll go flying, so just be aware of that. Start peeling your front and rear first. Just kind of lean the front one forward. It's connected with wires on the inside, which I'll take off later. And then start peeling your sides off. There's those two 10mm screws I was talking about. You can see how long they are. And we'll set these aside for now. There's a screw behind the pull handle. I want to take that one off. It's a little bit hidden, a little bit harder to see. So don't lose that one. Don't forget to get that one. Again, I'm just putting some screws back where they came from so I don't lose them. There's two vent lines right here that kind of poke through the case. Go ahead and pull those out and then just hang there. pull handle here. You can just turn it upright and poke it through the hole. And the outside's free. I should mention that before you start this, you want to make sure that if you have a generator you've already used, this one's brand new, it has never been used, never had fuel in it, so make sure you drain the tank first, get all the gas out of it, because you're going to be removing some lines so they get all over the place. So we're going to take off this air filter cover. And inside of here, if you pull the little element out, there's a small screw. I'm using a multi-tool. It's got 10 in 1 or 11 in 1, so it has a variety of things on it you can use. So this one's like a nut driver at the moment. So we'll take the one screw off behind the element, 2 nuts that are on the carburetor. Once you do that, you can pull this whole assembly off. I'm going to put my screws inside of there so I don't lose them, and put the cover back on so they don't go flying anywhere. We'll set that aside. Next, we'll take off the choke assembly. There's 2 screws. A little deeper there for that screwdriver. So. This one seems to want to stay in the hole, so I'll leave it where it's at. This one we'll put back on top of the carburetor. Next, we're going to remove the fuel tank. Plastic thing that wraps around on the inside of the covers, wraps around the holes of the fuel tank in place. Take off the right side. To give myself a little more room right here, because if I don't, it only opens an inch or so. I disconnected the electrical connections on the back of this front panel, so it allows me to tilt it out a little more, gives me a little better access to the fuel tank. So the fuel tank is just in there with this wraparound sleeve. It slides into a little gap, and then there's a hose on it. So just undo the hose clamp and slide the hose down. Just be careful, it's all plastic. Hose goes on there. Go ahead and set that aside. Right, next we're going to pull off the muffler. Right here, just 3 10mm bolts to hold it on. This bottom one is a little longer, goes right here. So make sure that one gets back in the right place when we put it back together. The other 2 are the same size. Pull this off, and inside here there is a screen. We're going to pull that screen out. Next up, we're going to remove the gas line and the pump. It's right here. Go ahead and pull these fuel lines off. There's a couple clips that hold the fuel line in. Gently persuade them off. This one's a little harder to get to. It's kind of in the, right into the block. Give it a wiggle, it'll come off. Alright, so the pump that's mounted to this plastic, I don't know what you call it, but it wrapped around the fuel tank. There's 2 screws that hold it on. Then take those off. And we're going to remove the line that's at the bottom of the pump. It's going down to a switch, to this on-off switch that's on the outside. Go ahead and take it off. Again, you'll want to be careful. All this stuff is plastic. Coming apart fairly easy, but just be aware of that. Set this aside. I don't think we're going to be using it anymore. Next up, behind the carburetor. So we're going to pull the carburetor off. Gasket and the vent lines. Make sure you don't lose the gasket. There are 2 8mm bolts. So add that to your list. 8mm socket. Alright, so that's what that piece looks like. Okay, I think we're to the point. We're going to start putting things back together. So this is the first piece that comes with the GenConneX kit. I've already done this, but there's a little plunger that mounts right here. Goes through the top of the cap and then down. Activates a little switch right here. Just remove the small nut on the bottom and pull it out. Just try to keep everything together. It has a spring, a sleeve, and 3 spacers, and then a nut. Set those aside. On the top of the gas tank, there is a rubber boot that we are going to try to get off and use. It's a tight fit, but coming. There you go. Just give it a good pull. Looks like that. Now this is going to have to fit over our new GenConneX piece. And GenConneX recommends that you heat it up in the microwave, and it looks like it would be helpful, so I'm going to go do that now. Okay, so GenConneX recommends 15 seconds in the microwave or putting it in boiling water. From the experience I just had, I would not use the microwave. It heats up pretty quick and it smells terrible. Didn't hurt anything, but actually it went over pretty easy with a screwdriver. Just kind of pry it over and stretch it a little bit. I think it'll be fine. But anyway, the idea is to get the boot over this and around it. After that is done, you can go ahead and replace the piece that you took off a few minutes ago. This plunger. We've got the nut, 3 spacers, a spring. Goes through the hole in the top of this propane valve. Put your spring on, spacers. And then the nut. GenConneX recommends, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little plunger in there, and they recommend an 1/8 inch gap. Right now I have no gap, so I'm going to adjust that. So the nut you just put on, just back that off a little bit. More. More. Okay, so there you go. About 1/8 of an inch. If you got this too close, it will cause a leak. I guess that plunger's pushing in on something that will allow propane to go through and will cause you a leak. So be careful with that. Go ahead and install this into the generator. These little nuts here will go into the old gas tank mounts. So go ahead and put that strap, or whatever you want to call it, back on. You can see it better here, but you can see these two acorn nuts. They actually go inside this little groove right here. It's hard to do with one hand, but you can see there, and also there was a set of acorn nuts. And then you can see the mechanism sits just like that. We're going to attach this ground strap. Be careful, try to route it out of the way of your pull cord. You can see the pull cord down in here, just so they don't get tangled up with each other. It's an 8mm also. Piece of propane hose. It comes in a kit. Looks like that. Go ahead and insert that on the barb fitting on the top of this mechanism. It says it doesn't need a hose clamp. It also comes with some longer screws for the carburetor. This up. So now it says to go ahead and put back on the carburetor mount. So pop out these two long screws. Two new ones. Go ahead and remount this. Two screws to hold it in. Two bolts to hold it in. 8mm. There's a vent line on the side of the carburetor, on the right side if you're facing the carburetor. That needs to be removed, so we'll go ahead and pull that off now before you reinstall it. So while you have the carburetor off, you want to remove the choke mechanism. There's a little metal blade inside the carburetor. Just grab it with a pair of pliers and pull hard, and it'll come out. Turn the choke handle and it'll pull out. So now you have it open, nothing blocking the input side. Make sure you put the gasket back in. Looks like that. I don't know if you can see that. Gasket. Carburetor. Gasket. And your propane adapter. You get a new gasket. The kit comes with two orange caps and a black cap. The red ones are for the fuel lines on the carburetor. So you can plug those up. One's for the vent, one's for the fuel. Put those on. And then the black one is for the line you took off that goes into the block. The top of the carburetor, where you took out the choke mechanism, they supply you with a little cone-shaped plug. So go ahead and insert that into that hole. Where does it go? You can go ahead and reinstall this. I don't know what it's called, the white thing on top of the carburetor. There's a wire attached to it, some kind of servo it looks like. Just make sure it's routed and not tight and getting pulled or in the way of anything. Tighten it down. Alright, so next we're going to attach our fuel hose. Came with the kit. You can route it down into one of these plastic tabs. Goes under this little finger that sticks out. I'll show you here a close-up in a second. And then plugs on, I'll show you off, plugs on to your adapter plate for the propane. This was the barb fitting for the propane into the clip, and then onto the barb fitting on this propane module. We're going to go ahead and reinstall our airbox. Remember, I kept my screws inside. The one single center bolt, they've supplied us with 3 washers. See that? They're going to go on the back of the post, just act as a spacer. Go ahead and make sure you've reattached any electrical connections that you may have taken off the board. The instructions don't mention this to do, but I found it easier to access all this with these off. And they're just push lock connectors. You just push a little tab down and they pull right out. Just be careful. Don't try not to pull any wires off or anything. There's 4 connectors back there. Okay, and go ahead and start installing the skin. Left side first. Make sure you pull your pull handle through. There's a kind of like a wood screw looking thing. Goes there behind the handle. Make sure you get everything, this rubber boot around the input side. Make sure you get all the, there's little tabs on it. Make sure they're all tucked in and in there, so when you bolt it down, it holds everything in place. The 2 top screws in for the handle. I've still got this front just a little loose, just kind of leaning forward a little bit, so I can still get to it. There's 2 10mm bolts on the bottom of the right side if you're facing the control panel. Install those. Just kind of double check everything as you go. Make sure you're not pinching any wires or hoses or anything that shouldn't be getting caught off. Alright, once you get the sides all buttoned up, go ahead and put the front on. There's 4 screws, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the side. Make sure you put your decorative bottom covers on. Tuck up under the front, and then you just slide up from the bottom like that. 1 on each side. And you can go ahead and put your back on. Make sure you get everything tucked in. Bolts. I'm sure you guys probably saw I have an impact screw gun here. I used it to take it apart. I don't like using them when I put things back together, especially when there's a lot of plastic. I feel like it's easier to strip them out with that and get a better feel with a screwdriver. So if you're wondering why I didn't use it to put it back together, that's why. And your cap. Your spark plug cover. I have an hours meter that I'm going to install later, but that's what this wire is for. So you normally wouldn't have this. I'm just going to tuck it in for now. So that's it. Here's your input for your propane line. It's supplied with the kit. Quick connect hose, clips on there. You can hook this up to your barbecue tank or a propane tank off the front. If you have a propane accessory port on your trailer, which we don't, we're going to run off a separate tank. You can hook it to that also. So yeah, and that's it. The conversion kits from GenConneX, we're in no way affiliated with them. I bought this just like anybody else would with my own money. They do offer installation where you can buy the generator already assembled. I chose to buy them separately and save some money. So I felt I could do it. Basic hand tools, which you saw, and a little bit of mechanical know-how. I think it's fairly easy, just takes time. Instructions are pretty good, so go ahead and take a crack at it. Construction zone, but there's a dirt road running back here. It must go to some kind of quarry or something, because the only thing I see coming down it is dump trucks. Trucks are killing me.